guys, welcome back. We're going to be talking about the Vatican today and the symbolism tied up in its architecture and other unique temples and tombs from around the world and even from other worlds, not Earth. I'm going to connect some dots for you and show you some possible coincidences which to me reek of serendipity and synchronicity. But let's start off here at the Vatican. You see this keyhole shaped object with an upside down cross underneath it. This is how it's supposed to be viewed, because St. Peter, who was the first stone in the Catholic Church, the first pope, the stone on which Jesus made his church, right? Well, this is what the Catholics believe, at least. Peter was crucified upside down, so the cross is upside down to symbolize St. Peter. But above him, people say this is a pregnant lady. It is not. I do not believe so. I believe this is a very specific style of tomb. In Japan, it's called a Kofun. It's a keyhole shaped religious or spiritual temple of sorts. And I think I know the purpose of it, and I'll explain it as I go. But in the center of this keyhole-shaped tomb, you have an obelisk, Cleopatra's Needle. This was once used as part of either Egyptian faith, practicing their religion, or maybe it has some kind of practical, energetic application. I'm not sure, but it was taken back to Rome, slapped in the middle of Vatican City, and a cross was put on it. It's flanked by two fountains. Just like the last video, we talked about the two guardians. It's very similar. But yes, just remember this keyhole-shaped part of the grand temple of Catholicism. And to some degree, you know, there are a lot of Protestant churches that still put a lot of religious faith in this institution. Just look at all the different exorcist movies that have Catholic priests come and save the day in Protestant families. Right next to this building, you see this object kind of in the middle of the screen on the right hand side of the image. It's shaped, it's not completely rectangular. This is the Pope's concert hall. This is very important. It's shaped like a serpent's head. Remember that. This building is shaped like the head of a serpent. But here's the same picture to the side. At the bottom, kind of towards the left-hand side, between the keyhole and the cross, you'll see the Pope's personal concert hall as well. You see random architecture everywhere that's deeply symbolic. This was actually designed by Michelangelo. Looks like a chakra. Here we see more obelisk up around Rome. Just the architecture is very symbolic. This radial spiral, this radial sundial like street of, but this is really interesting. This is in the Vatican City itself. I was just all over Google Earth, just scrolling through and seeing what I could see from the point of view of the sky. These places that not everyone is allowed to go to. This was a very interesting one. I think this is hinting at hollow Earth. You see these human-shaped objects standing around this globe. Well, it really does look like a crust of the Earth, and then in the center, a hollow cavern-like system. It even looks like there's an opening at the very, it would be the right-hand side of this image, but it would be the bottom of the sculpture or architecture or gardening, whatever the fuck you want to call this. It reminds me of the South Pole entrance to hollow Earth. And it has these squiggly lines coming off of it that are, to me, reek of the aurora and the transfer of atmosphere between what I believe to be a large hollow chasm at the North and South Pole. The South Pole is the most active one. That's where we find humans, I believe. But this is a little piece of architecture, kind of hinting at a hollow earth, to me at least. There's some other pictures of it I'll show you in a second. This is it from far away. You can see it right there. But notice it's right next to a railroad, a secret train that stops dead at the Vatican City. Those two train tracks they disappear and they just go underground. So these are just underground fucking trains that the Vatican can use to have whatever they want delivered to them. Here's a circled image of that train network right next to Hollow Earth, which is depicting, you know, a possible chasm deep underground. Who's to say where these trains go or what they're delivering? I think these are used for human trafficking of minors. Here we see that as above and so below, you know, the tree of life and the tree of knowledge. This is really cool. This part right here, the Fontana del Accione Aquila. It's the fountain of the fucking eagle, okay? I'm not Italian. It's a really interesting fountain, built by Pope Paul V. It's supposed to represent the return of water to the Vatican, repairing ancient Roman aqueducts or some shit. This was a celebration of water, and in its symbolism, you'll see an eagle and a dragon. This is supposed to represent the coat of arms of Pope Paul V. I think it symbolizes more than that because of the placement of these beings inside of the architecture of the fountain itself. We'll see more pictures of it in a minute. Just remember the fountain of the eagle, which is on the Vatican grounds. This is the hollow earth image with, you know, with the South Pole opening. This is a better look at like the center, which to me it reminds me of a underground, like a caves basin. This is what it looks like from like the 3D point of view on Google Earth. It's like kind of like a seashell. But here at the side of where the trains come in, you'll see these doors that don't show up unless you get a 3D mode. So they're underground right here as well. So whenever they offload the children, they can take them immediately to their underground networks. No one has to ever see it. A better image of those underground trains. Right here, you can kind of see that door I was talking about as well that leads to Lord knows what under the Vatican. They can have all kinds of stuff delivered, and they're a private country. I mean, they are a city-state, just like the city-state of London, city-state of Washington, D.C. The Vatican is very important. There's a lot of money tied up in the Vatican. Not just money, but all sorts of... The Jesuits have been everywhere and done anything. But here's another image of that hollow seashell-like basin. I think this is indicating hollow earth. I mean, to me, that's really what this looks like. It looks like the earth's crust, a dense layer of mantle is, you know, laid out by the shrubbery, and then some, you know, hollow. Here we go. This is the fountain of the eagle I was talking about. Fontana del Accione. Okay, we see the eagle on top right here, right? It's at the very top of the fountain. Just like in the Norse tree of life, you always have the bird at the top of the tree, and at the bottom of the tree, you have a serpent. This represents, you know, the as above and the so below. You know, this is equivalent to like the highest high, an eagle, and the lowest low, a dragon. In Norse, it represents like the 9 different worlds on the Tree of Life. You have north, south, east, and west. From the point of view of, you know, living in Norway or, you know, North Germany or whatever the fuck you were. North is, you know, straight up. You have ice, the land of ice. To the east, you have woods. To the west, you have to the west you have open water. To the south you have extreme heat. this is actually, like, these represent the different worlds in Norse mythology, but really 4 of them are just north, south, east, and west. Midgard is where you're standing, the current point of view. Then you have up and down. Since we're in 3-dimensional space, you have to have the 3-dimensional, X, Y, and Z to graph out our ability to move in 3-dimensional space. So you have north, south, east, west, the center, Midgard, where you're at. Then you have up and down. That's 7. What are the last 2, you ask? Well, it's super up and super down. Those are the last 2 worlds. The Tree of Life is a much different symbol than it is in Kabbalah. It represents something completely different. It represents our spatial dimensions and allegories to connect them to, what you find whenever you go this direction, etc. But at the highest point, at the super up, you have the eagle, and the super down, you have the serpent. You'll see this here. Right here, the eagle's perched on top of a mountain, which looks like it has a natural cave underneath it, which is common for most large mountains. Caves have either been found or dug. And at the very bottom, you have this weird little guy with his head up, like he's swimming in the middle of this little oasis in the middle of the Vatican. Here you see Pan and the dragon spewing water. This is supposed to be on the coat of arms of Pope Paul V. The eagle and the dragon are both symbols from his heraldry. But we see, here's a better picture. You see, right at the very top, you have that eagle, and then the cave in the mountain that the eagle is on. Then below that, you have an even bigger cavern that opens up, and water pours in. They say that there's, more water underground than there is on the surface. I mean, at least I've heard that before. Or a huge percentage, like there's huge oceans underneath our crust that they've pretty much proven. We're also this weird architecture of, these are some of the fountains next to the obelisk in the center. The obelisk in the center of the keyhole. More of that. Okay, these keyhole-shaped tombs appear in more places than, just the Vatican. Here it is, keyhole tombs in Saudi Arabia. Okay? This symbol is repeating itself. Here we see it in Japan. They went overboard. A lot of these look like they're tombs. They have places that look like for a body, but I believe these are more sensory deprivation meditation chambers. And as you can see, the bottom of the keyhole is actually higher than the top of the keyhole. It's almost like a runway shooting you up towards the stars. I think that's exactly what it's doing. Energetically trying to get you out of Earth's magnetic grid, out of our matrix, so that you reincarnate on a different planet. I think this is what the purpose of these. I could be mistaken, but I'll show you my reasoning as we go. A lot of them had moats, as you can see from this picture as well. This is for energetic reasons, I believe. Japan and Saudi Arabia, 8,914 kilometers away. Are you kidding me? Well, it's crazier than that. Ancient highways, Saudi Arabia. Highways. Or possibly landing strips, airport, spiritual airport. Here is a similar piece of architecture on the surface of Mars. It's sloped up the same way as well. This is an ancient tomb, an ancient site, let's say. A piece of spiritual architecture is probably the best way to say it. Here we can clearly see the ramp going up. This is almost a pyramid and eye symbol, or the symbol for Earth on the Stargate. Oh, by the way, did you see that Trump is putting $500 billion towards AI, and he's calling the project Stargate? Come the fuck on. You got to be kidding me. There we go. That's what it used to look like, what it looks like now. This is another image of the Vatican. As you can see, it's, you know, pretty similar. I think this was intentional. I don't think this is a pregnant lady. Kofun, ancient Japanese burial mound. 7th century AD. Some of the ones that I found look older than that. I imagine we're talking about thousands of years. Blah, blah, blah. Here we go. A wooden coffin was placed on the bottom of the shaft, and the surrounding walls were built up by flat stones. Finally, megalithic stones formed the roof. Bronze mirrors, iron swords, magatama, clay vessels, and other artifacts were found in good condition in undisturbed tombs. If this was in fact a place for a person dying or dead, you know, maybe the architecture itself was designed to shoot their soul forth. I have no fucking clue. It's just an interesting shape that repeats itself a lot. The keyhole. Look at some of these megalithic stones, though. Apparently these are, you know, just 1,300 years old, but I don't believe that for a second. It's a lot like the dolmens that we looked at in one of the recent videos. Here are some more keyhole-shaped tombs in, I think, Korea. And this is the eastern shore of the Black Sea, not Japan, but keyhole-shaped tombs nonetheless. People have found bodies in these, so it is speculated that they're tombs. But I think they were sensory deprivation chambers, and the purpose was forgotten, or they were reused. People believe that the shape represents the sun in the mountains, or, you know, the pyramid and eye. The circular head contains most of the coffin. See, this is why I think that this might be a runway for the spirit, because if you're in the circular part, you're facing the ramp that's shooting up towards the stars, and the coffins are often oriented to either the sun or the moon. To, like, they're trying to escape, I believe. Here you can see where the actual tomb in the coffin was. It's like it's the Batmobile, and it's sitting inside the Batcave, and it's about to blast down the track. Like, that's what it looks like to me. Or a loaded round into a rifle is what the coffin to me looks like. Here we can even see a more dramatic ramp. I mean, this could have been something, you know, with a ceremonial purpose, but to me, you would have the people who are conducting the ceremony be lower than the tomb itself. The tomb itself is supposed to be the highest point because it's a point of reverence and closer to God, etc. But here they don't have that. They literally have a ramp coming off of it. Earliest large keyhole shape. This one, I mean, I don't know. I think these are meditation devices to help you whenever you're dying. You go there. I think the Pyramid of Giza is the same way. The King's Coffer, you know, a granite box that covered in salt. I think this is because it was a water-salt combination was used to make the water extremely buoyant and you floating weightlessly on top of it, like the Dead Sea or the Great Salt Lake in Utah. You just float because of the high salinity. I think that the Great Pyramid was a place where you took someone who was about to die. They knew they were about to die. They go into the king's chamber, sit down in the coffin. People below in the temple, like priests, play crazy instruments like didgeridoos in the queen's chamber. It resonates up the grand gallery. It fills the room with a ton of energy, and you're just floating there in the dark. And then right before you die, you give up the ghost. They open one of the shafts, either to Sirius or Orion, for, you know, the male or the female spirit. I think these had a very similar purpose. I think they were blasting you the fuck out of there to a specific place, you know, based on the orientation. Very interesting shapes, though. to repeat themselves all over Earth and even possibly Mars. This is inside one of the Kofuns. You can see the size of these megalithic blocks. This looks like a lot of European dolmens. Here we see some of the decoration of these tombs. Looks Scythian to me, but apparently it's, you know, early Japanese. But the designs are very pretty on the inside of these Kofun. And here you see the resting place. It's not a coffin. It looks like a bed. It looks like you'd put someone there. It's kind of like a chair for meditation, I believe. It's focusing all of its energy down towards the ramp. Here are some of the different shapes of, you know, Japanese tombs. Zenpo Kofun. But there are all other parts that kind of make me think this might be defensive. The moats or, you know, walls around. Who knows? Maybe this could have been a defensive area that was repurposed, or who knows? Here you go. More stuff that's, you know, found with LiDAR. I can't remember where this was, but this was not Japan. Thracians in Bulgaria built large burial mounds with distinct shapes, very similar to Kofuns. Tumulus and barrow, more commonly used terms of burial mounds in Europe, which can include various shapes, sometimes including elongated key-like forms. So, I mean, this is something that is all over the planet. Here, remember me telling you about the Pope's personal concert hall? This is the inside of it. The serpent head shaped building. This is the inside of the serpent's head. Whenever you're back here in the back, what do you see? You see a serpent. You're inside of the snake whenever you were in the Pope's personal concert hall. Here's another image of it. It's very clearly a serpent. I mean, I have positive. I mean, look at what my girl gave me. Well, you can't see that worth of shit. A little serpent. So, you know, I think I have positive connotations with a serpent, but most Christians would think it was something negative. But I see the serpent being something essential to my spirituality. Here's the Pope sitting down at the head of that, well, this would be like between the teeth of the serpent, and his background image, very obviously surrounded by other souls. You can see, you know, torsos, like busts of people, if you look close enough. But this is either, I believe it's the ascent of Lucifer, possibly the descent of Jesus into hell. But this is very clearly and obviously supposed to depict hell. And if you take half the image and mirror the other half, it looks like a mantis alien, which is kind of interesting. It's an interesting fact, but yeah, it's supposed to be Lucifer or Jesus. Some better pictures of it. You can see the heads that are surrounding him. This is obviously hell. This could be Lucifer, it could be Jesus. Luciferianism isn't as bad as people think it is. It's not like Satanism. Okay, yeah, this is the fountain of the eagle. Goddammit, Elkione, symbolizes the return of water, a heraldic symbol of Pope Paul V. Yeah, the dragon and the eagle. The as above, you know, the super up, the up, and then the up of the up. And then the down, and the down of the down is the dragon. The bottom of the tree of life. The top of the tree of life is the eagle. And there's a squirrel that runs up and down. What's interesting about the super down, though, where the dragon lives, it's also where the three weird sisters live. It's where Odin went to receive his wisdom by giving up his eye. It's very important. But it hints at a hollow earth, this idea of a super down. I mean, a super up obviously hints at the fact that there's outer space. But there being something below the below, something as distinctly different from the surface as space would be. It's a possibility. It's a possibility that there is a Shambhala, there is an Argartha, there is this secret civilization living under our feet. I don't know. And I don't know if there's a connection between the keyhole shape and the hollow earth. But they're both pretty interesting. So, yeah, just wanted to share this little folder of screenshots about this. I thought the fountain was awesome. I think it was a really cool piece of design. But I do think it symbolizes a hollow earth. Just like I think the weird architecture next to the underground railroad that they have hints at hollow earth as well. So maybe these keyhole tombs have something to do with translocality. Who knows? But that's the end of this video. Have a wonderful day. Yeah, if you're still watching, I appreciate you.